Hi, good day to everyone. Welcome to Let's Talk History. I am Dr. Michael Toussaint of the Department of History at the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine. And today we are going to be talking about emancipation, looking at it more closely, analyzing its content. People often ask, why do we preoccupy ourselves with slavery and emancipation? These things would have happened a long time ago. What is the point? Is there anything to be gained from this engagement? The fact of the matter is that historical developments and events are not measured purely in terms of time. They are not assessed purely on the basis of this being in the past and this being in the present, because to a large extent, the present is a continuation of the past and the present impinges on the future. So there's a direct link between the past and the present and the future. And the British and their emancipation efforts are a clear indication of all of that. It was only recently that the British government completed the payment of the loan that it borrowed to compensate the planters for enslaving people of African descent in the New World. If that happened recently, after a long period in which emancipation would have been proclaimed, then the issue is still very much alive. In fact, the British government freed the enslaved after centuries of slavery. It meant that they had come to the realization that the thing was morally wrong. Something happened and had a large period in history, and you correct it over that long period. It tells you that there's always reason for scrutinizing and re-examining historical experiences and developments. And when we look at emancipation, which we are celebrating, there are some things that still trouble those of us who are involved in the study of this business of slavery and emancipation. For example, the fact that the British government proclaimed the emancipation of the enslaved, but in order to acquire the emancipation, the enslaved had to self-purchase, or they could get their emancipation through purchasing themselves, or they had to wait until 1838 to be declared free. Then we look at the fact that the compensation was paid to the planter and not the injured party, the enslaved. I would think that if a wrong is committed, and that's the nature of law, the reason for law is to right the wrong and compensate the injured or the party that has been damaged or been the victim of error or misgivings and misdemeanor. That is not what happened. They compensated the party that was guilty of the atrocity, if we are looking at parties. Then the predial slaves were to endure a longer period of apprenticeship. Apprenticeship is not emancipation. There's a gross distinction between apprenticeship and emancipation. Freeing the slaves meant that you needed mental adjustments, which the British government did not cater for with respect to the planter. You now have a free man and a master, and before you had a slave and a master. So the master is still there and legalized by law, and the term implies the shortcomings of the system. And then we come to the question of reparation, which has befallen us today. And people ask why. Well, errors are supposed to carry their consequences. And it is clear that emancipation was more a matter of legalese. And when I say legalese, I'm talking about law for the purpose of having stuff in the book to indicate that you have a sense of justice. but emancipation was not in any of the cases, the British, the French, the Dutch, the Spanish, okay, the Portuguese, any of the emancipations was not genuine articles of emancipation. They were the attempt to satisfy legal requirements that will facilitate certain kinds of economic necessities. But we would talk about that in other episodes of Let's Talk. Thank you for viewing.